know I need to do something, but I just can't seem to get started. It's overwhelming and I don't even know where to begin or what I need to cut. That is a question or conversation I had recently on Instagram. And if she's feeling that way, I know that there are so many others feeling that way, and you're not alone. So today, I want to give you a 3-step simple action plan to start your budget. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. We are talking about simple action steps for you to actually start a budget. And you heard in the intro, this is sparked from a conversation I had recently on Instagram. It's like, okay, like I don't even know where to begin. It's overwhelming to start. And I have to tell you, I hear this time and time again. That's also why like so much of the information is here. Like you can find all the information, because I know the part that really most of us get stuck with isn't the information. Like it's actually doing the work. So I'll give you some resources here at the end if you want my support when it comes to actually doing the work. But let's go. 3-step simple action plan to start a budget. You ready? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to know what you were spending. Now I'm going to give you like the ideal action step and then like bare minimum action step. Okay. So ideally, you're going to go back at least 30 days and track all of your spending, whether you do this on pen and paper or you do it with an app. Honestly, I kind of use both. I have my app, my system to track everything. And then at the end of the month, I copy that data onto paper so that I can see it. Actually, it's Excel spreadsheet, but then I print it out. So then it really is paper and I'm overcomplicating it. Anyways, ideally, you're going to look back at what you've spent total. Credit cards, bank accounts, all the accounts, everywhere that you've spent money over the last 30 days. If you're a business owner, obviously we have to do business side and personal side. We have to have both. But it's not just enough to have the system, okay? We're going to get to that with your third action step. But ideally, you're going to go back 30 days. But often I'll hear like, okay, this is overwhelming. That I don't have time to go back and gather all that data together. It's too much, right? Okay. So bare minimum, the first action step that you need is start today. Like you can do it. Woohoo. Start today. Set up the account. YNAB is the one that I use and recommend for my tracking system. I'll include a link in the show notes for you to check it out. You get a free 32-day trial when you use my affiliate link. There's others that work. Mint's out there. I don't really like Every Dollar. It's technically an option, but I'm not crazy about it. But there's so many different ones out there. It's not about like finding the quote right app. There's so many out there. They technically all work. Yes, you can find one that works for you, but just get started. Or if you don't want to use an app, pen and paper works just fine. I have my Budgeting for Success worksheets, which gives you the categories to track. Link for that in the show notes as well if you want to check those out. But that's your first step. Step number 1, track your spending, okay? Whether you're going back 30 days or you're starting today and going forward, okay? The second thing you need to know is your income. I know this feels like just so simple, but that's what I do, is I make money simple, right? All your income. So this can include like interest that you've gotten on your savings accounts. Hopefully you're making good interest. If not, I use and love Discover for that. But your income, if you have a business, your business income, all the different sources, your spouse's income, if you're budgeting, your finances are combined, whatever it might be, all the income for the last 30 days. We have to know what you actually brought in. Like pro step here, because there's not really a simplified version. We have to know how much you made. I guess your simplified version would be, instead of going back 30 days, just tracking from here forward, like we talked about for the first one. But really, income is probably not that hard to gather. But your pro step is if you have W-2 income, tracking your gross income versus your net income. Now, gross income is before taxes and net is after they take away taxes, insurance, anything else that you're paying. Like your net, your actual bring home is your net. That's your pro step. But step number 2, gather all of your income. It's not, again, like the stuff that we talk about, it's not rocket science, right? We're just keeping it simple. Now, the third, this is key. Like if you can get to the first and second one, this is the third, like is where I see people trip up. Okay. You have to create a habit, whether you're using a reminder or I don't know, routines. You're paying somebody. This is like some of the done for you work that I can do, but you have to know how much has been spent and how much you've earned. Ideally, do it at a weekly level. We do the Daily Money Minute, which we've talked about several times. And the Daily Money Minute is helping to keep you accountable to yourself. And it takes a little bit of time. It's just a small moment, and we tie it into what we're working towards. So you check on your bank account, you update your tracker, then you look at the next goal that you're working towards. So you're tying that money to the association of what you want to achieve next, right? And that's why the Daily Money Minute is so powerful, but it also rolls into everything. So what you're doing in the day to day, if you get behind, if you skip a day, you're not behind really. If you skip a day or something happens and you don't get to it, you have your weekly check-in to fall back on. And the weekly check-in is really important. 30 minutes. It's all you got to make time for. Once a week, check in with your finances. We go in through there's so many different programs where we do this. I'm not going to give you too many different options. We'll give you the link at the end and we can talk about what this looks like. But your weekly check-in is so important. But if something happens and you miss a weekly check-in because life happens, we set you up for success if it's done correctly so that it's not a big deal if you miss a week. But also, then you have your month end to put a bow on everything for you. And your month end isn't as overwhelming in this massive list of things to do because you've been staying on top of it with your Daily Money Minute and you've been staying on top of it with your weekly check-ins. It all works together to make things seamless. Keep it simple, right? That's it. That's like the official thing to start a budget. You notice what we didn't talk about was cutting anything, because your budget doesn't mean you have to cut anything. Your budget, and this isn't even really a budget. Let me look. Okay, back up. Hold on. What we just talked about, that's not a budget. That's tracking your expenses. A budget is setting the intention of where you want your money to go before you've spent it. So this expense tracking, all of that, this is like the foundations to be able to set the budget. But even when you do get to the point that you create a budget, you're not having to cut something. This isn't about limitations and restrictions and having to not spend money on stuff. This is about knowing where your money's at and then making the decision where you want the money to go. Maybe you are in a spot where you want to spend less so that you can go do more things. My kids, recently, we've talked about the cruises that myself and then my husband, this is our honeymoon was a cruise. We've talked about cruises. So now the kids really want to go on a cruise. So we can make a decision to spend less in one category because we're wanting to fund the cruise faster. But it's not about limiting what we were spending over here. It's about funding the cruise, right? But we don't have to do that. It's whatever you want to do. So tracking your expenses and having the budget is just simply being smart. We have to know where we're spending money, or you're statistically proven to be overspending an average of $7,500 a year. This could be through subscriptions that you didn't know that you had. This could be through impulse purchases are technically there. This could be fraud. There's so many things that add up. And you're like, oh, well, I don't have fraud on my account and I know where things are at. It's fine. No, you don't. We think that we do. We think that we are we've got it handled. But unless you know your numbers and you have this system in place, your tracking software or just checking off of your bank balance and paying your bills is not being financially savvy. And when we have control of our finances, you are able to be happier. There's less stress off of your shoulder. There's stress lifted off your shoulders. There we go. Not a double negative. There's stress lifted off of your shoulders. Your lifestyle is elevated because you know what you need to do. And you make more money too. Just as a side note, that's the way it works. Okay. So 3 simple step action plan to start a budget, which really it was tracking your expenses so that you can start a budget. So maybe I should have titled this episode differently. We'll have to work on that later, right? So we're tracking all of our spending was the first step. The second one was tracking all of our income. And the third one is setting the routines. Now, we talked about several different resources throughout this program. If you're like, I don't know what I should do first, Aimee, I need your help. Just tell me what you need to do. The link is going to be in the show notes. Book a discovery call with me, aimeecerka.com/discovery. We do these as audio only Zooms. So we're essentially on the phone together, and we'll work through things because I'm a mom. I'm busy. There's limited time, but I know that you need help and I know that you're busy too. So together we'll figure out what your next steps should be based on your own personal situation because your finances are unique to you. And I feel like your support solution should be too. That's what I've got for now. Send me a message on Instagram and let me know if this episode was helpful. And see you on Instagram at Aimee Cerka. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.